less, more, 4 slugs from a 44, no less, no more. Out in Arizona, just south of Tucson, where tumbleweeds tumble.
What's going on? This is the Blood and Meridian podcast. I'm Jonathan Vasquez, and I'm with.
Chase Gallagher.
And Matthew Perez.
And today we'll be discussing about Blood Meridian and all its cool facts and not so cool facts, and just the book in general. So,
Our first bullet point that we're going to be hitting today with Blood Meridian is one of the themes in the book. Now, one of the themes Blood Meridian uses is extreme violence and human brutality.
right.
Yeah, like at first, with all the violence, I didn't know if it was going anywhere, and it kind of wasn't. But I realized that was actually one of the themes of the book, because the kid didn't really know where he was going either.
One of the main points within this theme of extreme violence is the nature of evil, and I believe that one of the main characters of showing this is Judge Holden, as he's just an evil guy, tall, built, just white ghost type of guy. He's kind of like the Grim Reaper in this book, and I think he just shows the theme like throughout the book entirely.
Yeah, you know what? I think the author wanted him to be kind of like the devil, because he's just like a bad figure of like everything.
Right.
He kills a lot of people, does horrible things to them, and he's hairless and like ginormous too.
Right.
And I think Cormac McCarthy wanted to kind of show him as the devil, like you said, because of the evil things he does, the way he looks, and like the way he's like doesn't really look like the rest of like human beings, you know. Like,
I think the Judge Holden, like a part of the book I remember seeing near the kind of mid toward the end was when he had left to go do something, and then he came back and killed this mother's daughter out of nowhere, just for no reason at all.
So yeah, one of the things that just really kind of showed to me that he was kind of like supposed to be the devil in the story was when he was kind of being worshipped around like fire, and they're all like naked and dancing around, and the whole thing just seemed kind of weird.
Right.
And I think Cormac McCarthy wanted to do that to show how like evil he is.
Right.
I'm
And
gonna pick up on that where at the end where he's dancing and saying he will never die. Like that's like perfect picture into the display of like the devil.
right.
Yeah,
Like,
I think just Cormac McCarthy was
mhm,
just trying to show him as like just the embodiment of evil, like in total of like humanity.
yeah,
As like it's
yeah,
human brutality throughout. That's the main theme throughout the book. So I think he just portrays that through Judge Holden, not just human brutality, but like just all of human evil bottled up into one person.
yeah,
yeah.
Right.
and the judge also talks about war a bunch, which is like not a great thing to talk about. So,
Right.
and he says that war is like necessary for humans and all that, which is kind of weird because war is
Yeah,
not a good
Yeah,
thing,
I
but
never
to
thought
him
of
it
it that
is.
way. Yeah.
like how war was here before man was, and war was waiting
Yeah.
for man.
So something I just found out was that the Glatton gang was actually real. They were scalp hunters in the 1840s who were actually paid to kill the Apache Indians in Mexico. And something else, Judge Holden also may have been a real person. A guy named Samuel Chamberlain briefly mentioned him in a memoir, but no one really knows that much beyond that. So some interesting stuff there.
That's actually pretty interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't really know that
Um,
either.
I thought this book would be like way too like violent and like horrible for it to be like actually based off of, like
Real
true
actions.
events.
Yeah, real actions
Yeah.
from people.
I would have never thought this was like a based on something true, like real that happened.
Right. But no, Matt, yeah, that's really crazy how the gang in the book is based off of real life actions from real life people. And I never thought that humans could even do any of those actions like morally in their body.
Yeah, it's crazy to think like people can actually get like that brutal and that violent, um, like in everyday life. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, but I think Cormac McCarthy really just tries to push that, and I think it kind of makes me understand it now that humans can be like that since he has that theme of human brutality. And I always thought I never thought it could be that bad. Like I knew there's like people did messed up things, but I just never thought it'd be to a point like this, and that's just
Yeah,
mind-boggling. Yeah,
Yeah, because like I used to think back to the South. I thought it was just like, like cool duels and like just cowboys and stuff like that. I
right,
never knew about all this like crazy stuff that was going on in Mexico.
right,
yeah, it's like a whole different picture. Like you think of like cowboys and you think of like
Yeah, like Indian.
those like you said, Matt, and you think of like riding on horses and like robbing trains, but like it Cormac McCarthy goes so much deeper into like what it actually was back then. Like nobody ever really knew about like the history of the Wild West and like the things people actually did back then. Like it's just crazy to me.
right. And
Hmm.
I kind of
Right,
think
right, right. Yeah.
Cormac McCarthy kind of just tries to explain that through this book. And I know he said this many times, but I think like with the human brutality, I think he over explains it through this book. Like he over details it to show us
Over.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like to not just show us the Cowboys and all that, but to show us like what really happened and how our human nature can really be. But why do you guys think Cormac McCarthy made this book in the first place? Like it's just mind-boggling why someone would even take the time to write like all these horrific things and have to research it and just study this horrible past of the South.
Cormac McCarthy did say
Um,
it was his favorite book, and he thought it was his best book. But I don't really know why he wrote it. I mean, he likes it, but I don't think I would want to write it.
Right. What
I
about you,
would
Gallagher?
say I would say that he would write it to make a point to people that like don't realize um, how brutal and violent people can get.
All right, Gallagher, to stop you there. I think what he tries to show, or not show, but what he does differently also is his way he writes. There's no true hero's journey through this book. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, like in the end, we saw our supposedly hero we thought throughout the entire book ends up what is known or what we think is dead, and the
Hmm.
antagonist comes out victorious, but it's not a true victory of anything. It's just him killing the kid, Judge Holden killing the kid,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
The whole book just kind of seemed like
yeah.
a big nightmare, just not really any
there,
plot.
yeah, there's
It
no.
just kind of kept on going.
The only plot was a kid traveling
I
far
feel
from the
like
south. That was it.
I feel like there was I feel like there was plot to the book. It was just kind of like masked by all of the violence and stuff.
Right. I just think I don't. There was definitely a plot. I just think it didn't have that hero's journey because there's
Yeah,
no true journey in it. The only journey was traveling south. But the only close thing we got was maybe the kid facing the judge each time, and the only thing from that was killing in between and just killing over again. So yeah,
yeah. I think it was less about the plot and more about the like philosophy and like the ideas of like about like, violence and
Hmm.
humans and all that.
right.
I think that was
Hmm.
more what he was trying to like get to us.
I'm gonna jump to a new topic here. Why do you think Cormac McCarthy never gave the kid a true name? Like throughout the entire book, he's just called the kid. He doesn't have a real name. Like, why do you think that? Why do you think that is?
That's
I
a
kind
good
of
question, Chase.
I kind
And
of
I feel like one of the things is because the kid never really had a home, and he's never belonged anywhere aside from the gang. That's not really a good place to belong to. So I
Yeah,
feel like that could be a reason.
Yeah,
wandering off in
Yeah.
the west. You know.
yeah. To pick off of that, I think yeah, like Matt said, he's never had a home. He's never had a family to truly like give him a name. Like he's never done anything to give him a name for
Yeah.
himself. Like he's kind of just
Or
like a stray dog.
except he did have his. Sorry to interrupt there. He did have his dad, but like,
Right, but that was
you remember he left home at like 14.
right. He's yeah,
Uh, yeah,
I feel like it could also be because the author wants us to like know that he is a kid, and it's crazy how he's doing all that stuff as like a teenager.
true.
hmm
I also I also think it's because his I don't think his character ever really like developed throughout the story. Like he never truly developed in any kind of way. It was just kind
Well,
of
I
like
think he did because
he did.
I mean
near the end of the story, he was kind of more affected by all the violence.
Yeah,
true,
to the
yeah,
point where he leaves the gang. He
true.
leaves the
Yeah,
gang and he wants to be good. He wants to go away from all that violence and
yeah,
all that other stuff. So I think he does. I think he does change to a point of betterment. Um, but other than that, I still don't understand why he never had a name. Like he was the main character, and it's very rare you see that in a book where the main character doesn't even have a name.
Right, yeah, that
They
is
just
really strange.
call they just called him the kid.
I feel like the judge is like really obsessed kind of with the kid throughout this entire book. Like what do you guys think about that?
I think it's because the kid, has some innocence in him, and I just think the judge doesn't really like that. I think the judge, and not, I mean, obviously because he's the main character, but also because he's just different, kind of, from all the other members of the gang. So I got a question for you guys. What do you think about the ending? Because it was really like open. The judge kind of just took him back, but we never really know what happened to him. What do you guys think?
Right. What I think happened is that the judge just flat out killed the kid because he kept trying to get the kid to side with him throughout the entire story, like trying to like turn to evil in a way, and the kid always refused. And throughout the entire story, it kept getting worse, where the kid was basically running away from him at a point. And I think with that final scene, it was just the judge having like his last laugh with the kid as he realized like he already lost him to try to turn the evil. It was too late.
Yeah, I like how you emphasized last laugh because he literally did get his last laugh. Like he was laughing and dancing and saying you'll never die and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but you
After
never really know what actually happened because all it said was that he took him back to that room, and then like he just told a guy I wouldn't go back there. So you never really know. He could be just torturing him.
yeah,
I don't think he tortured him. I think he might have like I don't think Cormac McCarthy would have described
I
it as
wouldn't think
like
you would torture him.
it probably was just
I
something
mean,
gruesome he did. Like he probably like did something really bad to him. He's the judge. He never kills anybody like simply. Like his simple kill. His most simple kill was like probably like what I said earlier. He just straight up snapped the neck of a kid, and that's like already graphic as it already is. So he probably did something like completely gory to the kid. Is what I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Another thing
yeah,
that I found interesting was that directors tried to make a movie about it, but it was actually just too like gory and like too violent to actually make a movie. And they also couldn't find anyone to cast for the role of judge because the judge was just too scary.
Right.
that's how undescribably like even though they how they describe him in the book, that's just like how uh unnatural the judge
Right. I
was,
think
you
that's
know?
I think that's kind of like what Cormac McCarthy's goal was, like just to make the judge a character that like you can't like fully play out as a character in the
Fully
first book.
acknowledge or like fully understand the
Right.
concept of the judge, you know?
Right. He's just something so evil. It's just kind of like there, if that makes sense.
hmm
It's like trying to understand like darkness. Like that's what he basically is, just darkness. There's no image of it. It just keeps conquering.
Do you guys think that the title Blood Meridian had anything do you think the author made it like that for a reason?
No, yeah, definitely. I think
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
starting with the first word blood. I think he uses blood as like symbol of violence and like the human nature like in us, as like we all have blood through us, and violence of course, because with violence there comes blood.
Yeah.
And then Meridian, I don't have too much of a clue on. I don't have any too many thoughts on that. What do you think, Gallagher?
I think the use of blood in the in the title, it's just another like look under the theme of the book. Like when you see blood, that's when you know like something violent did happen. Like something violent happened most of the time, and you can just tell like from the book. The main theme of the book is brutality and human violence, and it's just seen. Blood is seen all throughout the book. Violence is seen all throughout the book.
Right,
It's almost like everywhere. But I feel like it just kind of like sets up um, the theme of the book.
right. And um, veering away from like the blood part, Meridian. I remember it means kind of like a threshold or like that line of like longitude for like for east and west. That's what I remember from reading a book
Mhm.
way back. And I think he uses Meridian as like a way of showing like that split of what like the blood is in the book. Like as we already said, like the blood being violence, human nature, and all that. I think it shows the split from our human nature being less, from being like less to like we're normal, like how we are, like civilized people, compared to the way we can be at our maximum human violence, where we're just ruthless. And I think that's what he shows in the book, and showing that cross of like that threshold.
Yeah, I have somewhere to pick off of John. What you said. The original title for the book was "The Evening Redness in the West," and I feel like the evening redness, red in the sky, blood is red, sky is full of red, sky's full of blood. There's a lot of violence. I feel like that may be a connection with the title Blood Meridian. At least that's my thoughts on that.
Right, right.
What do you think about that?
I think that's really,
Like,
yeah,
what
I
do you
think
think about that, Matt and John?
I think that's
I agree with that.
yeah, because like you said, what was it? What was the title again?
The Evening Redness in the West
The
is
Evening
the original
Redness in the
title.
West. Yeah, I think that's where he kind of got like Meridian from too, because like I said, it's kind of like that division of East and West, and the way bringing up like that kind of like geographical way, like being the sky
Hmm.
and the West and just all that. I think he kind of
And
that's where he
like
kind
the
of yeah. I think that's where he kind of merged
and
into
like
like the word meridian, and then that's where he got it from.
mhm.
But what do you
I
think,
feel
Gallagher?
like the evening redness. I feel like the evening redness, like uh, talking about like a sunset. I could connect like sunset, sunrise, like crossing that threshold of night into day, like a new
Right,
day.
right,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that also just connects into the whole setting part of it, where if it wasn't in the West, it'd be a lot different because it wouldn't be there'd still be violence because in that time everyone was kind of just more prone to violence, but especially in the South, it was just really crazy back in that time.
right,
Yeah, the setting plays a major role in the book because like
Yeah,
without the desert, like this would not be like Blood Meridian. Like this would be a whole nother book because like you need the desert to progress the story.
right,
and I also
You
think that the
need that.
desert kind of represents the kid in a way because the desert's just kind of alone and there's not that much out there, and that's the same to kid because the kid just kind of roams.
right.
Yeah.
But to finally like veer off from the violence of the book, I kind of see like the kid in a different way also. Like I know I said earlier how there's not much plot to the story or anything, not or not plot, but character development. But what I'm pretty sure Matt had brought up is the kid thinking differently and not wanting to be as violent. So I kind of think the kid has like that glimmer of conscience where he wants to like he has like more resistance in him to not be as violent as like the judge and the gang and what's going on around him. So do you guys have anything like to pick off of that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the kid the kid has mercy in him. The kid is not he's nowhere near as violent as the judge, and he's besides everything he did. He's a good kid. He has mercy in him. It was just too little, too late.
Right. And
Like
I think
towards
it's
the
kind of
end.
like a like subtle way of showing like a sign of hope kind of like in between all these
Hmm.
characters. It's like all darkness around and then you see that one speck of whiteness like of like light shimmering out like trying to escape. But I think Cormac McCarthy like tries to show that as much evil as and there's as much as evil as there in this world, um, there can be light, and I think that's what he tries to portray through the kid, but he shows that it's too late by the time it happens.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I think the main reason the kid kind of got drawn into that life was just because he got kicked out of the house. He kind of was just wandering around for a while. He didn't really have any direction, and he kind of just took, he went wherever he was accepted,
Right,
and that just happened to be the gang.
right. And I think that's something like everyone kind of like goes through, where they always try to go somewhere where they're accepted rather than where they want to be themselves. Like they just kind of like follow
Yeah,
through and don't like have a thought of their own sometimes. And I think that's what he also
you
tries
like
to
Yeah,
meet the
show.
wrong people.
Yeah, I think that's what he also tries to show, like how we have to be our own person, and that there's that like throughout like all of this in the story, all this violence, killing, murder, and all that, um, that the kid can change, and it shows this subtly, but it's just far too late by the time it happens.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's been a great time. Make sure you guys check out Blood Meridians for yourself. It's a good book. It's a good read. And yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Yep. Thank you all.
yep. Thank you guys.